So there's something that happens as an actor which you realise is a skill that you learn in life. If the chips are down, you hide behind all the other fucking actors in order to protect yourself. And as a director, I'm realising that you can't do that at all. So this is our film, Goodbye June, and it's extremely surreal, even to see the poster, which I feel like I only just signed off on about 9 days ago. It has been the greatest privilege of my life to be a part of this, to have directed in the 50th year of my life. Come on, girls. I loved every single second of it. It lifted me up. I trusted this extraordinary cast and they trusted me. I was so privileged that they did. We had an absolutely beautiful time making this film, working on an extraordinary screenplay written by my son. See? He's over in the corner. People don't know that. People don't know that they're actually my son. He started writing it when he was 19 years old, and he had gotten a place in screenwriting school at the National Film and Television School in London, and he'd written a short film and got a letter saying, "We'd like to offer you this position." He's like, "What the fuck, I didn't think it was any good." and he wrote this screenplay, and he was very private about what he was learning and the process, and he handed me this script at the end, and he said, "Look, I've written this thing, and it's like, it's probably shit. But you know, I mean, you can read it, you know, like if you want, like maybe, yeah. I mean, yeah, you read it. You can read it, and just lie if you. And I read it, and I knew that it was going to be a film, and that I was going to produce it, and I was going to play one of the siblings. What I didn't know was that through the development process, my son would go from strength to strength as a writer. And at the point that we were ready, still not believing it was happening, we were ready to go out to directors, I turned to him and I said, "My God, we can't let it go." I said, if we do that, if we give it to a director, it will become theirs. And that's right, because that's what happens. But maybe we should keep it for us, and maybe I should direct it. And so I did. And this is Goodbye June. You will laugh, but you will also cry. So I'm just going to warn you now, get your Kleenex ready. And please switch off your phones, if that's okay. Thank you, and we'll see you afterwards.
Hello. I think the moderator usually sits over here. I'm not usually the moderator. So. I'm so thankful that you guys are here today, that you braved the LA weather to come and see this beautiful film. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here today. I thought the film was just so touching and honest and pure, and really lent to an intimacy that's rare to see. And the people that should be talking about it, let me introduce them. The star, producer, and director, Kate Winslet. And writer, Bill Henders. Oh, that's a very safe thing. It's better than when it happens the other way, when you think it's going to be soft. That's really, I could say so much about this film, but in speaking to you, you both have such a beautiful perspective on the storytelling aspects of this film, the origin story of how it came to be. So I'm just going to dive right in and let you guys talk about it. Joe, his first feature script?
Yeah.
About sort of how it came to be, the idea, the inception, the creation.
Yeah, the idea was born out of my own grandmother passing. I was quite young when she did actually pass. I was about 12, but it really stuck with me. And the story is entirely fictional, but I remember standing in a room with all of my family and all of my cousins and having this moment of realization that everyone in this room came from this one woman. And at that moment in time, that was kind of the only thing that mattered. And that kind of was the inspiration for the whole thing. You know, I left school when I was 18, and then I wound up doing this screenwriting course when I was 19, and I wrote this on the course, and we were just encouraged to write from the heart. And yeah, this whole thing is so surreal for me that it's actually become like this. Like now I'm talking to people that have just like watched it. It's like totally mind blowing. So thank you for having me.
It's so impressive. It's so impressive. So touching and so honest and so true. So I just wanted to congratulate you on that. The dialogue and what you presented for these wonderful actors to perform is really special. So, yeah, really, really. So Joe and I just worked together on something, so we just wrapped filming about 3 weeks ago, so I'm like, oh, fun. And Kate, can you tell me a little bit about sort of your experience of watching this happen and how you came on board to direct?
Well, yes, I can. So it's true what Joe says, that when his grandmother died, my mother in 2017, that this very odd thing happens when you know someone is going to go. You start having really bizarre, unexpected, last-minute conversations with people, and you stare your siblings in the eye, and you are united by this one thing that is happening to all of you. And so the more that Joe had developed the script, and as I said before in the introduction, I was going to produce it and was excited about playing Julia, but I just realised it felt so personal to me, and all of those other actors had been cast because as the producer and the person playing that role, I was in a position to ring those people up and say, listen, this is happening. We haven't gone out to any directors yet. Actually, with the exception of Helen, Mirren and Toni, Collette, who I didn't speak to until after we decided I was going to direct it. But I mean, Andrea Riseborough, she's so wonderful. She's so extraordinary. And she said yes to the same screenplay that Joe showed me that he had still 20 pages to complete. It was clearly so strong. And I just thought, we can't let this go. And I just had to be really brave about it, and I had to also accept that we weren't going to have a huge budget, which we didn't. Netflix were incredibly supportive of me being a first-time director, Joe being a first-time writer, and I have to say that Netflix are quite spectacular at supporting emerging talent in that regard. And what it did for me was it made me feel, okay, I want to create a working environment that not just feels very supportive for these actors because what everyone had to do was so challenging, but I wanted to work with the crew in a way that was very sensitive and very thought out, so that those intimate moments and those very real conversations were able to actively feel real for those actors. And so I did certain things which took a lot of planning, but we were able to pull it off. I did do certain things that offered them that space. So, you know what it's like as an actress, and there's that terrible distraction of the overhead boom,
Yes.
the huge black pole.
We spoke of that often. You preempt your next line by coming down close to you.
Yeah,
It's your
you
turn.
think,
Yeah.
oh, I might not do that, exactly as you said before. And I myself, that's my one thing that I can never unsee, is the pole in the air. So aside from the fact that I had 7 children who were just going to go like this, you know, I thought I've got to help them out by not doing that. But also for the actors, when you remove those additional crew from the room, everything becomes emptier and feels a little bit more sparse. And so our sound designer, Denise Yard, when I first talked to her, I said, could we possibly do that? And she said, yeah, we'll absolutely find a way. So everyone, including all of the children, were radio mics. So it meant that all those beautiful moments when I'd be encouraging the children to play and I'd be rolling cameras without them realizing, all of those little pieces of conversation were completely usable to add to the texture of the chaos and the overlapping nature of family life. And something else that I had longed to do as an actress and I've actually never experienced myself, I'd always wondered what it would be like to set camera positions, lock them off, and ask the crew to step away. So in some of our scenes, a good handful, we were able to do that. The cameras were set, the actors were happy, and I'd say, okay, everyone step out, please. And I was just able to leave those actors in those spaces truly by themselves. And I remember the day Helen Mirren said, gosh, it's quite an extraordinary feeling. And it did give her that sense of realism. And she just felt very supportive, and the same for Tim Spall.
Yeah.
He had never come across that either, and I was just very, very happy that I was able to do it. And of course those kids, I mean, children bring the joy in everything, and the more that I encourage them to make mistakes, I'd say, okay, we want lots of nice juicy mistakes today, so please don't remember your lines. Sorry, Joe. I would say, don't remember any of your lines. Let's just, here's what's going to happen. In that hospital bed, I've actually hidden something, and it's your job to go and find it. And I was rolling cameras all the time, and they never knew, and the scene would happen around them, and of course the children were oblivious to the conversations that go on over their heads, as children are, and they just connect. And I also wanted to make sure that I captured the sense that the children, some of those cousins, are complete strangers to each other because of that divide between the sisters. The children they don't give a shit, you know, they don't look at the trauma that's going on around them, they don't care about the parents' bullshit, they are just getting on with connecting and being friends. So as the kids are getting closer together and the grown-ups are standing on opposite sides of the room, it was sort of mimicking what I know happens in life, being a parent myself. And the whole experience was just wonderful. I just ran at it. I had 35 days. I had Helen Mirren for 16 of the 35 days. And because she's so brilliant that she had another job to go to. And I was so fulfilled and uplifted every day by being with those extraordinary performers and a wonderful, quite small, very supportive British crew. It was just incredible, and I just loved it. I want to do it again and again and again. I loved it so much.
You really should. It's such a remarkable debut film. I have a question. I'm like, do you have sisters? I didn't ask you this.
I do.
Oh, I can tell.
2 sisters.
Yeah, okay, I just
I'm a brother.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah.
I was so.
Joe wrote what he knew, so.
One of the things I don't know that I've seen before in a film is the way that a parent has a different relationship with each of their children, and that was so well drawn. So much love for all of them, but each relationship, you did such a great job at defining the way that the parent and the parents communicate, especially Helen, how she communicated with each of the children and played to their strengths, and oh, it just was so touching. And that
Played to their strength and pushed their weaknesses.
yes, definitely. I love
That was one of the things that Joe had done so brilliantly in the screenplay, was not to deliver a perfect woman in the final weeks of her life. And because nobody is perfect. And also not making cancer the big C at the center of everything. And because this was a family that had been existing for some time with a woman with a terminal illness, also that sense of just sameness and the monotony of the hospital appointments. And they've been to that place before, and they've sat in the waiting room. They know that, you know, Snickers is C17, that you press on the thing, and you know, that's such is the familiarity that they all individually, quite separately, had with their mother's illness. And so the kind of crashing together of everybody in those final weeks, so triggered by the information from the doctors saying there's nothing more we can do. I mean, that scene actually was very, 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 very hard. It was very hard to act and very, very hard to direct. It was the only time that I really had to step away between takes, take a minute for myself, and then watch everything back, which sometimes there wasn't actually time to go and watch, certainly not my own coverage, but there wasn't actually time. I'd have to just look with my eye and go, yeah, we've got this, we've got this, we've got this. But that scene mattered so much because it's a massive turning point and it sets up Molly, Julia, and that awful tension. And that was one occasion when I remember thinking, I have no idea what I've just done in that scene at all. I've no idea. I'm just going to have to wait to the edit and figure it out then.
I imagine that's an enormous talent, yes, and challenge to be able to direct yourself inside of a scene while keeping an eye on others' performances. That has to be a real. I don't believe I could do it. Sure. I could definitely not do it. I'm far too worried about what I'm doing. No, but sorry, forgive me. One of the things I love too is the detail of the actors' performances. Like, how did you get all of that texture and all of those details into that script? Like, what was your inspiration for all of that? Do you think sort of growing up around that, was that helpful, or I mean, I've worked with you, so I know you have such a deep understanding of character and a real intellect in studying human behavior.
He's also an actor, by the way.
Yes, he is. He's a wonderful actor. A writer-actor, which, yeah, what sort of, how did you capture all of that intimate detail in the script? Like, what was your process in doing that with the characters?
Oh my God, you're being so like sincere. It's really.
Am I not sincere? I am sincere. I mean it.
It's just like really wow.
Just maybe thinks you're brilliant, darling.
So the question was.
It wasn't a great formed question, but I think maybe I just tried to put flattery inside of a question, so I would give you an opportunity to talk about it because I found it so beautiful, and both of you, really, that attention to detail and character. I think the attention to, just like when you were saying C7, that's something an actor does. Was that in the script? Is that something you incorporated? All of those really detailed moments, that is so actor driven, that kind of character detail.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, to a certain extent, it was very detailed, and I think one of the main things that helped all of those details was actually, I kind of, because I'd never written a screenplay before, when I wrote it, it was just like everything was majorly over-explained, and the fact, but like detail-wise, majorly over-explained to do with all of the characters, and all of that kind of had to disappear at some point to make it kind of like a palatable script to read, and not just, you know, some crazy like thing, but yeah, a lot of the details about all of the characters were included, and they all, you know, developed over time. And then when I started to see the actors actually play the characters, you know, that wound up changing a lot. And also on set, like, I arrived like a couple of weeks into shooting because I was actually working on something else abroad, and I came onto set and I was just so shocked to see like the family that I kind of walked into. Like, I arrived and Mum had literally like created this amazing family environment, and it's like it was an unbelievable collaboration, and it was incredible to watch everyone and what they were doing and how they were interpreting all of these details I had put into the script, and also how Mum was sort of controlling, very kindly controlling this amazing collaboration that was going on. You know, this like family that was like living. By the time I got there, it was like this family was already like a fully realized group of people that were just being, and it was like really strange for me to witness. So I think a lot of the little intricacies are down to the unbelievable performances by the like ridiculous cast that I'm still gobsmacked by. The fact that they said yes to doing it is still insane. But I think a lot of the intricacies are down to, you know, their unbelievable performances. But yeah, at the same time, I had an amazing time in writing it. You know, really digging into who these people were and what the details of their lives were and their characters and how they interacted with each other and how June interacted with all of these children in different ways and how she could sort of like tie everything up. Yeah.
characters are very beautifully drawn and beautifully directed and presented as well. So
the wonderful thing, just to sort of carry on from what Jo was saying, the wonderful thing about working with actors of that level is that they're so open to a suggestion or a way in which you might be able to support them in building that character. So what so often happens, as you yourself know, is that you'll have your costume fittings quite out of nowhere, right before you start shooting, having often never had any conversation with the director about how the character might look or feel or walk or their demeanour and their hair. And of course all of those things really affect the role that you end up playing and becomes a part of how you integrate your own body into that person's body. Well, what I was able to offer to all of the actors was very early on conversations about those things. So story day one is a very, very long day. And because, of course, Connor, as scripted, wakes up to hear the kettle screeching and runs downstairs, I called Johnny Flynn. I mean, it must have been about a month or longer before we started shooting. And I said, how would you feel if we just put you in pyjamas for the whole entire of that story day, which is almost, 47 pages or something.
that sounds like a dream.
He was like, yeah. But I was able to have those early conversations because I was in a position to work so closely with the heads of department.
Can you speak about? Oh, sorry, I interrupted, but I don't want to miss the opportunity for you to speak about all your heads of department and how your process of getting them on board, and I really loved what you had to say about that.
So I really believe that everybody has to start somewhere. I mean, every single one of us in this room, we all started somewhere, largely because somebody believed in us or gave us that opportunity. And even if they didn't, we still have our beginning. And I know from when I started out as a terrified young actress at the age of 15, having been told that I was only going to get the fat girl parts, I knew that someone believed in me, and that was Peter Jackson, and he cast me in Heavenly Creatures. And from there, I've had this extraordinary life of opportunity and experiences and have learned so much. And so I thought to myself, okay, Jo's a first-time screenwriter, I'm a first-time director. We've got to pay that forward. I have to have other first-timers in our department heads. And so our composer is a first-time composer, our production designer is a first-time production designer, and so was our costume designer. And our composer, and I'm sure you'll all agree, and I'm not just being biased, but the music is just wonderful, and it's really something really. And that guy was...
Yeah, Ben Harlan was my music teacher at school. And he's just...
And Jo's sisters and Jo's brothers. He's taught all my kids.
Yeah, and his son is an incredible friend of mine that I've had for, I must have been
8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was at school, we used to do plays, and he would like write these musicals that were like incredible, and his music was always phenomenal. And then he stopped teaching and went back to university to study again, and then he wanted to get into soundtracks, and we contacted him when this was all happening, and then he read the script and he really connected with it, and then he wrote a couple of tracks and sent them to us, and the second he sent them to us, we were like,
oh my God, that's it. The first piece of music he composed was the music for the montage, which gets me every time I hear it. And when we recorded the music, we saved enough budget so that we could record for one day at Abbey Road. And I was determined to do it for Ben. I was just like, I have to get him into that building. And we had this one very expensive but so valuable day at Abbey Road, and Ben, he just was pinching himself. I mean, he just couldn't believe it. So to be able to give people those opportunities, it might really change his life. And our production designer, Alison, I kept hearing this woman's name, Alison Harvey. Oh, you must get Alison Harvey. She's on set decorator. She's fantastic. She did this. She did this. And I kept thinking, who is this Alison? Why isn't she designing? This doesn't make sense. And I thought, I bet she had a child, and she had a different trajectory. And I had a Zoom with her, and we were chatting away, and I said, I'm just curious to know, why haven't you designed anything? And she said, well, I got pregnant very young, I'm going to have my son. And I said, okay, we're going to put that right. And she did it. She came and she production designed. And Grace, who did our costumes, I'd worked with her on Ammonite, and she's only 32, and she herself has just survived a really not good breast cancer. It's a miracle that she's here, actually. And I sent her the script and I said, look, Gracie, I really think that you can do this, and I just need to warn you what it's about before you read it. And she said, Kate, I can't have been inside all those machines and lost my hair and had bits cut off of my body to not put it into my creativity, and I would love to do it and support you and support Joe. And so we had her, and it changed the energy of the onset experience, because aside from the fact that it was full of people who were so happy to be there and joyful, it meant that we were all really there because we wanted to tell this story. And it wasn't just a workaday experience. And when you are asking huge favours of people to work that hard in such a short space of time, you have to have the energy be good. So every day I just ran at it and had all these gorgeous people to spend time with and build this story with. And it was just amazing, wasn't it?
I have to say, I'm truly moved and inspired by the movie and by you guys' relationship that led to this movie and the creative collaboration that you had. And I wanted to thank you so much for making it. I can't wait to see what you do next, and put me in it, please. No, I just adore both of these humans. They're so inspiring, and you made a beautiful movie. So congratulations, and thank you so much for sharing with us today. Thank you very much.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. How are you? And